The ground beneath your feet right now contains enough clean drinking water to keep your entire family alive indefinitely. Not a well, not a filter system, not a $1,000 purification unit. The dirt itself, the actual soil under your lawn, under your driveway, under the field behind your house, and a $2 setup that any person can build in 45 minutes pulls that water out completely clean, completely drinkable, and completely free. Every single day. Without electricity, without chemicals, without any ongoing cost whatsoever. The United States military has been using this exact method in active field operations since 1943. Special Forces survival training has included this protocol for over 80 years. The $270 billion global bottled water industry has spent decades making absolutely certain this information never made it to your kitchen table. Because a family that can pull clean water from the ground is a family that never buys another bottle of water again, permanently. They didn't hide this because it fails. They hid it because it works too well. Stay right here, because what I am about to show you is going to fundamentally change how you think about water, about survival, about your monthly expenses, and about an industry that has been selling you something the earth gives away completely free. And by the end of this video, you will have the complete step-by-step military method that has worked in deserts, jungles, and Arctic environments for 8 decades. Let me show you what this is actually costing you first. Because most people have no idea how much money they are spending on water every single year. The average American household spends between $400 and $1,200 annually on bottled water alone. $400 to $1,200 for a molecule that falls from the sky, for something that exists in the ground beneath every piece of property in America. Over 10 years, that is $4,000 to $12,000 spent on packaged water while the solution was sitting under your feet the entire time, waiting for you to know about it. And the cost goes beyond what you pay at the grocery store. Municipal water rates across the United States have increased by over 50% in the last decade. Cities like Atlanta, Phoenix, and Detroit have seen residential water bills climb by 80 to 100% in that same period. Water utility companies are publicly traded corporations. Their legal obligation is not to provide you affordable water. It is to generate returns for shareholders. And they do that by charging you more every year for something you cannot live without. But here is the part that should make you genuinely angry. The contamination crisis in American water systems is real and documented and getting worse. The American Society of Civil Engineers gives American water infrastructure a D+ rating, not a passing grade, a D+. There are over 6 million lead service lines still delivering water to American homes right now today. PFS, forever chemicals have been detected in the water supplies of thousands of American communities. 40% of American rivers and streams are classified as too polluted for safe use. And the solution the water industry sells you to address your completely legitimate anxiety about all of this is a single-use plastic bottle filled with municipal tap water at 300 times the per-gallon cost of the tap it came from. You are paying for a problem they created and a solution they manufactured. And neither one was ever necessary. Now, here's the line that I want you to sit with for a moment before I keep going. The military figured out how to pull clean water from the dirt in 1943. They used this method in the Pacific Theater, in Korea, in Vietnam, in the Middle East. In every operational environment American forces have operated in for 80 years. They trained soldiers on this protocol as standard survival knowledge. And when those soldiers came home, they brought the knowledge with them. But somewhere between the field manual and the family kitchen table, the information disappeared. Not because it stopped working. Because a $270 billion industry needed it to stay buried. And this next part is where the story gets cinematic. So stay with me. The year is 1943. The place is Fort Belvoir, Virginia. A military field survival engineer and soil scientist named Captain Robert Marsh is working under direct Army Corps of Engineers orders to solve a crisis that is killing American soldiers in the Pacific Theater faster than enemy fire in some operations. Supply lines are cut. Islands are held by Japanese forces. American troops are dying from dehydration and waterborne illness because surface water sources are contaminated and resupply is impossible. Captain Marsh is given one mandate: find a way to produce clean, drinkable water from whatever materials exist in a combat environment with no specialized equipment and no chemicals. He has 11 months and a team of 12 researchers. What Captain Marsh and his team develop after exhaustive field testing is something so simple it is almost offensive in its elegance. A hole in the ground, a sheet of clear material, a container, and the sun. That is the entire system. It works because of a principle of physics that has existed since the Earth had an atmosphere. And it produces water that is cleaner than most municipal tap water because the process is pure distillation. No filters needed, no chemicals needed, nothing needed except the ground beneath your feet and sunlight above your head. Captain Marsh files his findings with the Army Corps of Engineers. The protocol is classified as standard field survival knowledge and distributed through military training channels in 1944. It remains in active military survival curriculum for the next 8 decades, and it stays there, inside training manuals, inside classified field guides, inside the institutional knowledge of Special Forces units. While outside those walls, the civilian water industry spends the same 8 decades building a $270 billion global machine, selling you the same molecule that Captain Marsh figured out how to get for free in a hole in a Virginia field in 1943. Your grandmother already knew this. She used it every single day. Not the military version, with the precise measurements and the field engineering, but the principle. She collected rainwater. She knew which parts of her property stayed moist longest after rain. She understood intuitively that water moves through soil, and that soil holds moisture invisibly long after the surface looks completely dry. She filtered collected water through layers of sand and charcoal from her fireplace before drinking it. She did not have a chemistry degree. She had knowledge that the industrial water system spent a century making obsolete, because obsolete knowledge creates dependent customers, and dependent customers buy products. This channel exists because that dependency ends when the information reaches you. We find what powerful industries have buried. We put it in plain language. We hand it directly to you. If you want to stop wasting money on industry lies, subscribe and hit the bell. Because the water industry is one of the largest systems we are taking apart this year, and what comes after this video is going to go even deeper. Now let me show you exactly what is happening at the molecular level inside this system, so you understand why it works permanently and why it works in literally any environment on Earth where soil exists. Soil always contains water. Always. This is not a sometimes fact. This is a physics fact. Even in the driest desert environments on Earth, soil moisture content ranges between 2 and 8% by weight. In average, American residential soil, the moisture content is between 15 and 35%, depending on season and recent rainfall. The ground beneath your feet right now is holding water. Not as liquid you can see, as water molecules bonded to soil particles through a process called adsorption. Here is what adsorption means in simple terms. Water molecules have a slight electrical charge. Soil particles also carry electrical charges on their surfaces. When water contacts soil particles, the opposite charges attract each other, and the water molecules bond to the surface of the soil particles at the molecular level. This is not the same as water soaking into a sponge. The water molecules are actually attached to the soil chemistry itself. They cannot simply drain away like FreeWater does. They stay bonded to the soil until something breaks those bonds. That something is heat, specifically solar energy. When sunlight heats the soil surface, the energy excites the water molecules bonded to soil particles. As the temperature rises above a specific threshold, the energy is enough to break the adsorption bonds and release the water molecules as vapor. The water does not become dirty vapor. It becomes pure water vapor. The minerals, the bacteria, the contaminants, the heavy metals, everything that was bonded to the soil particles stays bonded to the soil particles. Only the water molecules themselves release as vapor and rise. When that rising vapor contacts a cooler surface above it, in our system, the underside of a clear plastic sheet, it condenses back into liquid water droplets. Those droplets run by gravity toward the lowest point of the collection surface and drip into a container placed below. What you collect is distilled water, purer than bottled water, purer than filtered tap water, because distillation removes everything except the water molecule itself. At the molecular level, you are replicating the water cycle. Evaporation from a heated surface, condensation on a cooler surface above it, collection at the lowest drainage point. This is how clouds form. This is how rain is produced. You're building a miniature version of the Earth's water cycle in a hole in your backyard for $2, permanently, with no ongoing cost and no infrastructure and no dependence on any company, any utility, or any industry. The bottled water industry cannot patent this. Nestle cannot trademark solar distillation. Coca-Cola cannot lock the water cycle behind a licensing agreement. The physics has existed for 4 billion years. And so instead of competing with free, they did what every industry does when faced with a competitor they cannot own. They buried the knowledge under marketing. They made convenience feel like necessity. They made their product feel like the only safe option. And they built a $270 billion annual machine on top of the assumption that you would never look down at the ground and understand what was already there. Every year you did not know this, you paid their price. Every case of water, every delivery subscription, every $3.49 single bottle from a gas station cooler. All of it was a bill for a dependency they built deliberately and maintained through the systematic burial of knowledge that makes their entire industry unnecessary. If you've made it this far, you already know more than 99% of Americans about where water comes from and why the industry selling it back to you has invested so heavily in making sure you never connect these dots. So here's the complete method. Every step, every measurement, follow this precisely. You need 5 things: a shovel or any digging tool, a sheet of clear plastic, greenhouse film, or standard painter's drop cloth, available at any hardware store for under $2 per sheet, A clean collection container, any bowl, pot, or cup you already own. One small rock weighing about half a pound. And direct sunlight. That is your complete equipment list. Total cost, under $2. For the plastic, everything else you already own. Step 1. Find your location. Choose a spot that gets maximum direct sunlight throughout the day. South-facing ground in any American location receives the most solar energy. Look for areas where you can see green plants growing because vegetation indicates underground moisture. Low areas where water naturally drains after rain have higher soil moisture content and will produce more water per day. Avoid ground near roads, fuel storage areas, or industrial sites. Step 2. Dig your hole. 2 feet wide at the opening, 18 inches deep minimum. Shape it like a bowl, wider at the top, narrowing toward the center at the bottom. This maximizes the interior soil surface area exposed inside the hole while creating a natural funnel toward the center. As you dig, watch the soil color change with depth. Soil that darkens as you go deeper is showing you increasing moisture content. That darker soil is your production zone. Step 3. Place your collection container at the very bottom center of the hole. Press it slightly into the soil to stabilize it. This is where clean water will collect. Nothing else goes in the container. No soil, no vegetation touching it. Step 4. Add vegetation inside the hole around the container if available. Fresh cut grass, green leaves, plant cuttings placed around the container on the soil surface inside the hole significantly increases water output. Plants continue releasing water vapor through transpiration even after being cut. Each handful of fresh vegetation you add to the hole is adding its own moisture contribution to your system output. Pack the vegetation loosely around the container without covering it. Step 5. Lay your clear plastic sheet over the entire hole. The sheet needs to cover the opening with at least 6 inches of overlap on all sides. Seal the edges by placing the excavated soil around the perimeter on top of the plastic. Press it down firmly. You want the plastic edges sealed against the ground so vapor cannot escape from the sides. Now place your rock in the exact center of the plastic sheet, directly above your collection container. The rock weight creates a downward cone shape in the center of the plastic. This cone is your condensation collection point. Every water droplet that forms on the underside of the plastic runs toward the lowest point of the cone and drips directly into your container below. Step 6. Wait and observe. Do not lift the plastic to check during the first hour. The system needs time to build up heat and begin the evaporation cycle. Within 30 to 90 minutes, depending on sunlight intensity and soil moisture, you will be able to see condensation beginning to form on the underside of the plastic. The plastic will cloud slightly, then individual droplets will become visible running toward the center cone. By the end of a full sun day with 8 to 10 hours of direct solar exposure, a single system built in average American residential soil will produce between half a liter and 1 full liter of clean distilled water. In optimal conditions, with moist soil and strong summer sun output, reaches 1.5 to 2 liters per day. To produce meaningful daily water supply for a family, build multiple systems simultaneously. 8 systems running on a good summer day produces 8 to 16 liters. Enough for basic drinking and cooking needs, the systems can be left running continuously. Simply replace the vegetation every 2 to 3 days as it dries out and the moisture contribution decreases. To collect the water, lift one edge of the plastic gently and tilt the sheet so the water pooled in the center cone slides into the container. Recover the hole and replace the rock to continue production immediately. The system resets and begins producing again from the moment you reseal it. This is Captain Marsh's 1943 military protocol producing clean distilled water from the ground beneath your feet. This is what 80 years of Special Forces survival training is built on. This is what the $270 billion water industry needs you to believe is too primitive, too slow, or too unreliable to be worth knowing. It is none of those things. It is physics. It is permanent. And it is yours. Now here is what I need from you before this video ends. Think of one person in your life right now who pays too much for water, who buys cases of bottled water every week, who just received a utility bill that made them genuinely stressed. Send them this video today, right now, before the algorithm pulls you somewhere else. Because every share keeps alive what the industry tried to erase. Captain Marsh documented this in 1943 for soldiers who needed it to survive. Your grandmother understood the same principle from the water barrel behind her house. You continue that chain when you share this with someone who needs it. The next secret opens soon, and what it exposes about the industry controlling something even more fundamental than water will make today's video look like the introduction.